Okay, good evening. It's a little after 7:15. We're not done yet. Just come here. There we go. Okay, a little after 7:15, I'm opening the Littleton Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. It's September 20, 2018. We're in room 103 at 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton. And we start with 7:15 administrative matters, but we're running just a little, well, we were doing some administrative matters, figuring out how many votes we need with a short board. So I will make that announcement first. We're a 5-member board, so anything decided tonight needs all 4 members. It's okay with me if you want to present your matter, and if it looks like it's not going to be unanimous, we'll poll the board, and if it looks like it's a problem, you can opt to continue your hearing for the next meeting, and then we'll have a larger board and you can take your chances.
There are 5 of us here now,
Oh,
but there are a
Okay.
couple of cases where
Yeah.
we need to one of us may need to recuse ourselves, or at least postulate that, in which case,
Why don't we do it on a case-by-case?
yeah, on a
Yeah.
case-by-case basis, we'll look at it. Okay, so at 7:20 PM, our first hearing is case number 901A. The petitioner is Todd Denoya. If you'll come forward and you want to drag a chair with you, Todd, so you can be comfortable, I'll tell you the way we do this. First, I'll call the case, and then we have you present informally what it is you're trying to do.
Okay.
The board then asks questions, then we'll open it up to the floor to ask questions. We'll also read into the record the recommendations of the zoning enforcement officer, which I'm pleased to say is Michelle here. And then we'll see if there's any other abutters or anyone else who weighed in.
Okay.
So first, let me call the case. 720, case number 901A, the petitioner Todd Denoya is requesting a special permit or variance pursuant to section 17310B, non-conforming uses and structures, and section 17331, intensity of use schedule, for a proposed detached garage creating a reduced side yard setback at 77 Shaker Lane. So you can start.
Very good, thank you. So I think you have the plot plan in front of you. So the proposal is to replace an existing garage with a new 2-car garage. As part of the proposal, I'd like to maintain the existing hardscape, which is between the house and the garage, as well as the existing driveway, and actually anchor the new garage on one of the foundation walls, which is closest to the house. So basically, we'll be built off of one of the existing foundation walls, and then have the 24 feet towards the side yard. And relative to the way the property is outlined, the garage is not exactly parallel with the house, so it's a little bit offset, and the driveway is as well. So it basically ends up being a 7.5-foot setback line versus the 10-foot required, okay? Overall, it seems to be very consistent with the existing neighborhood. We have reviewed the plans with our neighbor, who has an existing garage opposite this garage, and I have some pictures to show the property if desired. And our neighbors are, appear to be fine with the plan. They basically said it looks good to them. And I have some pictures to show you the hardscape as well as the.
can I
Pass the
Can I
pictures.
ask a couple
Yes,
questions?
of course.
So I went by there,
Okay.
and I even pulled out my handy-dandy measuring tape
Yes.
and pulled it across your driveway there to
Okay.
try to see. The bushes on the right,
Yes.
I took a picture of myself. The bushes
Yep.
on the right, are they on your property or the neighbor's property?
They're a little, according to the plot plan that I had put together, they're a little bit on my property and their property. So I think the majority of the bushes are on,
So
our neighbor's
the roots of
property.
the roots of the,
the roots should be on our neighbor's property.
is there, I'm sure you've measured out your garage a lot
Yes.
more. Once you put that garage
Yes.
there, are you going to be able to walk around the garage?
Yes,
Between
actually,
those
I
look
can-
pretty established bushes.
Yes, I can show you, if you look at the plot plan, you can see where the line falls relative to the bushes, and can I bring a picture up?
Please,
So,
please.
This is the existing
Yeah.
garage. These are the bushes. So this is some stone I have here now.
Yep.
The new wall will not come out to the stone, actually it's
Oh,
a little
that's
bit
good.
lower than the stone.
So you're still going to have, and you're still going to have a 7'6",
7.5.
even if, so you should still have like 5 feet between the bushes and the side of your building.
Yes, actually, this gate,
And I understand, I looked at your concrete pad, I understand why you don't want to put the driveway more to the left.
so there's a double gate here, and the single gate should be maintained and actually come up just to the center of these gates here, actually. I really don't have a good picture.
That's very reassuring, thank you.
If anyone wants to see.
That's what I was doing.
I understand why your neighbor doesn't object now.
Is the garage going to be one story?
Yes, 1-story, 2-car garage.
Will you do as nice a job on it as you did on your second floor addition?
That's the plan, same siding, same roof, so it matches the house.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Did you do the hardscaping during the construction of the second
No.
floor, or was that already established?
That was established. I
Okay.
did that about, I want to say, 10 years ago myself, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did you? You did a very good job.
thank you, yeah.
So what's the side setback requirement?
10, with a detached garage.
Detached.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
going down to
except that
7.6.
we have an exception in the use schedule for 2 streets.
Because the
Let's see
next
what
door
that
neighbor's
says.
garage is also closer to the setback, it's 8.5 feet. So you have a total about 17 feet between the two buildings.
So it does say if more than one street abuts the lot, then the additional street setback may be reduced 1 foot for every 2,000 square feet under 40 of lot area, but to not less than 15. So that would be, he doesn't need to be 30 from both streets. So that doesn't apply to this.
Okay.
He's already
That's for the
30.
front and the side of the house.
Right,
Okay,
Right,
got
but
it.
he's more than that.
Okay.
He fits in all the other setbacks
Yes.
except for this one.
Yeah.
And this is procedurally, this is a change, extension, or alteration of a pre-existing nonconformity, and you have identified the nonconformities as lot size and the existing garage setback is nonconforming now,
No, the existing garage setback is
It
conforming.
is conforming.
Yeah, it's within the.
so it's actually
it's
a
little bit-
variance,
yeah.
and what did the building inspector say? The assistant building
Their
inspector
comment
say?
was that it cannot exceed 1,166 square feet.
No,
which it
that's
does
not this.
This one.
Unshakily.
Yeah. Talk on
Size, you mean?
Yes, because of the.
Oh, because,
lot
yeah, which it
coverage.
doesn't, 24 by 26 is okay, right? That's all right,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And the recommendation is to treat it like a variance.
Yes.
And so he's got to establish hardship, which is the existing conditions. Where's your septic system?
Septic is behind the garage, the septic field, then the septic tank is directly behind the back of the house.
So he can't very well curve the garage around that way.
No, actually. The septic was put in new, I think, in 2000, and it was situated behind the garage when they put the new septic in, before I owned the property.
What is your distance between your house now and your garage? And what's that little hash rectangle, is that coming off? That must be the existing garage main door.
You mean the corner of the house and the garage?
Yeah.
I don't have that measurement, actually. I wanted,
4 feet, 5 feet?
no, it's more than
More than
5
that.
feet. It's like 7 feet.
You
It
have a
looks
porch
like
and
the
a
same as
bulkhead.
here.
Yeah, I have a bulkhead there, which is what, like 5 feet itself, and then I probably have, from the corner of the house, I probably have about 7 feet, maybe a little bit more. Maybe 7 feet.
And the house to the other side is 7 feet. I would
The
like,
garage.
I mean the garage to the other side. And I would like to condition it on a single story. These. that
Yeah,
is a
it
good
comes back to our
ask.
old discussion about, do people really need a 2-car garage? Is the need for a 2-car garage enough for us to give a variance? It's New England. They have room for it.
Looks like you need a new garage.
Yes, the
Yeah.
garage,
Whether it's
it's,
one or two.
agreed, I need a new garage.
My other question, as I looked at the plan, is whether or not we want him to fill in this line of bushes as a nice screen to the neighbor and vice versa. But that would, if that would have to be on his land, it would reduce
That would be on
the
her
area
land
to
if I
upland.
stayed with the
Right.
bushes.
But
it
I
wouldn't be on mine.
also, it's her garage, the side of her garage. It's
Yeah,
not
and
like
the
it's
bushes are quite bushy and quite well established. To try to fill them in like that would be hard and would look awkward for many years. I mean, you could ask him to put up a piece of fencing, but I think we could leave it to the neighbors to work it out at this point.
Okay. Mark?
Well, I mean, the reason we have setbacks, and correct me if I'm wrong, is there are safety issues. If one house burns, you don't want it to be so close to the next house that it burns. Plus fire access and things like that. There are other issues, like you mentioned, gee, you gotta be able to maintain it. A case can be say that next building, I mean, the 2 garages are like almost just 15 feet apart. Whereas it seems, again, we have 10-foot setbacks, so that buildings will be a minimum of 20 feet apart, again, for the, safety issues. That you don't want to disturb existing hardscaping, I guess you'd have to question, is that really a hardship? I mean, yeah, it's a hardship in terms of it's going to cost you money to change it, but it's not like, oh, I can't build it because of that hardship. You can, it just disturbs the hardship. So it's,
Did you get a chance to go over there and walk in that area?
I looked at, no, I didn't go, but
It's,
I
it's
did.
really very narrow already. And on the plan, it looks like the hardscape's big, but it's not. Between the door and the bulkhead and, I mean, I wouldn't want to push a garage, if I lived there, I wouldn't want to push a garage any closer than that anyways. I trespass dreadfully, but I
That's
figured,
okay.
I figure if you're going to come before us, you give up that.
We did look at moving it over, and it's very close to the house, so it'd be very
It
difficult.
really, it's much tighter than it feels much tighter than it does if you, just looking at the plan. I'm a big one for pushing, pushing things back to make it work and fit into the zoning bylaws as much as possible, because we're only supposed to grant these kind of
Yeah.
variances with a real hardship.
So can I have Mark finish? I think. I still have more to
Yeah, I mean,
say.
that's essentially it. I mean, it's, I looked at the plan, we granted a variance for the other guy's garage. Now we're granting, we're starting to put houses closer together, and again, I'm not a fire department expert or anything, but I want to say that's why we have setbacks, for safety. When you start squeezing them in, yeah, your neighbor doesn't care, but someone else might move in next year or something like that. Or, is that going to create an issue? And there have been a few cases where our next door neighbor's houses started burning because it was too close to the other house.
I don't know if that's the reason we have a 10-foot setback. And in addition, there are, I don't know, I mean, it's a building inspector question, but I'm not aware of, I'm not aware of the reason why that would be. And I just don't know if that's the reason why they did it that way. I don't know why. I think it's just a matter of keeping a structure away from a property line, as a nuisance. There are the aspects of the code that I'm familiar with about the proximity to buildings are large-scale commercial buildings. So detached garages, I'm not sure. And it doesn't seem, well, anyway, that's all.
Can I ask, Jillian, I want you to speak, but I just want to ask the applicant, or Jeff, is 24 a standard two-car garage? Could it be 23?
It could be 23, it could be 22. Less
And-
than that, it's
and I
less
need-
utility.
Need to remind the board that this is a detached garage, so the setback is 10, not 15. So the variance he's asking for is not immense, but looking at the picture, is that when the garage beside you, is that an attached garage, and we gave them a
It's a
7?
breezeway.
The one,
Detached, then?
it's actually just a roof, there's an open deck, so I think it is detached. It's not the actual door to the house on the house inside that little breezeway area. It's not, it doesn't have two sidewalls, it's just open to the air.
So just point of reference, it's possible that once we grant a variance for a detached garage, I guess you could put a roof in between and get away with it.
Well, I don't know. I think that's a different, that's whether they determine it's attached or not. It can't be enclosed space, it possibly could be
What's your willingness to think about 23 or 22 foot and then make it deeper?
So I did look at going less than 24 feet, and I was just advised against that from the builder relative to, we have a minivan and a truck, and he just said it becomes very unusable once you go smaller.
that's,
And I was just encouraged not to
that's
do
what
that.
everyone in town says it was a truck.
I mean, that's the advice I got. I did
They're
look at
building
it.
garages all over that are 20 by 20,
Okay.
but they're hard to use.
Yeah.
But they're definitely, 22 is usable.
Jillian, go
I
ahead.
guess my question and comment would be, and it's really maybe more of just a bigger picture of, so on this house, there was this large addition, and in hindsight, maybe when it was going, as far as maybe moving the garage and connecting it to the house, so that it wouldn't need to have, at this point, a variance.
It would need to have more of a variance, because then if
Because
it
it
was
brings the 15
connected,
feet.
it would have to be
Yes.
15 feet.
Like if it came up and went over.
No, that calls into the 15-foot setback problem. So, I'm not immensely opposed to this one in this location precisely because I think he's got a hardship, and I think that since he can be 10 feet, 7.6, isn't that?
No,
much
he's
of a
asking for
variance that
2.5
he's asking
foot
for, yeah.
variance, and I wouldn't, I don't think it would work very well to push the house closer. He'd have to move his bulkhead. He'd have to move his,
Yep.
and it becomes, I mean, could we make him have a 22-foot garage instead? I just don't, I feel his pain on that and think I don't think the benefit that the neighbor and the neighborhood would get by denying him that 2 feet would outweigh what the hardship he would have on trying to fit larger vehicles and equipment in there, which we'd like him to fit in
Well
there.
said, that's well said. Okay, are we ready to close the hearing?
I move we close the hearing.
And second?
Seconded.
And all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Hearing is closed. In the interest of the full room, let me see how, no, we're not too far behind. Let's discuss this one and knock it off.
Did we have any neighbors that wanted to say anything?
Oh, thank you for asking. I was watching them as they came in. I'm sorry, the hearing's closed. I'll reopen if we have any abutters who wanted to say anything on this one. Okay, thank you.
So,
No, you can stay.
We're probably going to vote it. Anybody want to make a motion or discuss further?
I'll make a motion if you want.
Go ahead.
I make a motion to grant the variance as requested and as outlined on plan number S14685. Do I need to say a number?
No, I think, though, it should have a single story.
Substantially as, and, yeah, I'll agree to the restriction that it cannot be more than 1 story tall.
A second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None. Good luck.
thank you.
Okay.
There is a waiting period that you should be aware of, that your neighbor can appeal. It's our decision, and that if you start building before that appeal period is up, you do so at your own risk.
No.
They
No?
can't even get a variance.
Not anymore?
Special permits, they will grant, but they won't grant a building permit
Variance,
under a
you have to wait
variance.
till the
Yeah.
appeal period's up.
Oh, you have to wait
Yeah.
until the full period's
So
up
it's
on the
20
variance?
days after the decision is filed with the town clerk.
Okay, very good.
Can I still just ask a question just for my own edification? The 24 feet, is that the foundation or the roof line?
The foundation.
So the roof would be even closer to the,
Yeah, it's gonna overhang.
There's a customary overhang.
Yeah, it's gonna be a standard overhang.
Keep it small,
Yeah.
because you have to fit in this plan.
that question should have been asked because that would
Yeah,
impact. I
guess
mean,
I
that,
didn't
now we're
change it
not,
till it's
Well, you
all
can move
the
it
same.
8 inches over.
Yeah, that's fine. I can accommodate
But
that.
you're granted a variance for the
Over
structure of
24 feet.
7.6 feet.
Okay, very good. Okay, good. Great.
Okay, calling case number 902A, petitioner Melissa Field requesting a special permit or variance pursuant to 17310B, non-conforming uses and structures, and section 17331, intensity of use schedule for a proposed detached garage, creating a reduced side yard setback at 13 Winged Cove Road. Come on forward. I have to announce that I have dealings with both applicants here, but I have no financial interest in the outcome of this matter. If anyone objects to my sitting, I will recuse. Anyone want to object? Okay.
I have to make the same announcement, that I have dealings with both parties, and happily will accuse myself if anyone wants me to.
But they do have a beautiful baby, so.
distract anyways.
Okay, you heard the procedure. You start informal presentation. Board will ask questions. We'll read anything into the record, and then we'll ask if any abutters have any comments. Go ahead.
So we're asking for a setback reduction from 10 feet to 7 feet, only on one corner. Actually, the other corner of the garage will stay 10 feet off the property line. And the reason is to keep it off the driveway enough to keep the original landscaping and be able to make a swing into the garage. Also, to keep the garage, you can't see on the plan, but to the coming into the driveway to the left, there's a pretty defined woods line, and the neighbor's house actually has a great view of the lake, and he'd like to keep that, the one uphill. So across up on the uphill side. So he'd like to keep that, so he was happy with the idea of this. Also, the septic system on the opposite side of the property doesn't allow us to put it over there, and I looked into actually moving it at one point, but everything in the area is serviced by wells. So really, we're limited to that area for the septic system, so if it needs to be changed in the future, it will have to stay in that same area. Yeah, so that's basically what we have.
I trespassed on your property dreadfully also.
That's okay.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I went up and down your driveway a couple of times, and I don't understand this request, because quite frankly, it looks like this is a two-story garage,
Yes, that's what we have proposed, yeah.
and it looks like you could easily move that corner 3 feet in, and a little bit closer to your driveway, and fit within the zoning variance. I don't understand why your garage would have to be at this angle, and I don't understand why it can't come forward.
Well, we just wanted to tuck it back to be able to make a swing with the existing land. The truck I drive's 23 feet long, so we staked it out, and I drove and backed up and drove up probably 100 times. And also, we just wanted to keep it as far out of the way of the neighbor's view as possible, really.
Well,
so.
the neighbor's here, and you have one right here, right behind where this garage is going to be. That this seems, especially a two-story garage, is really going to impact your neighbor here. Is
So
anyone
I'm
living in that
talking
house
about-
currently?
There is. She
Yeah.
is.
And it's not like
Yeah.
right here, it's actually plenty more than 60 feet off the property line. It was so far away that I didn't actually measure because I didn't think that it would come up. There's so much woods between where the garage will be going and her house that you can hardly actually
Yeah, I
see.
trespassed on her property,
house.
too.
And
Did anyone else go down there?
I did.
I did.
Okay, I'll shut up.
What's the size of the garage you're proposing? 28 by
28 by
30,
30.
2 stories?
yeah,
And
the top will be dormered in the front, and shed dormered at the back, so the front will be a roof line kind of
similar to our
view.
house.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to also bring up, because we brought it up in the prior hearing about the size of the garage. You know, if it was 26 feet, I said, and you moved the 1 foot forward, you wouldn't need anything.
So the truck I drive is now it's 23 feet long, so it would fit if it was 26 feet with
Right.
hardly any room for even a bicycle in
But you're at
front.
30 feet wide,
Yeah, yeah.
which is 6 to 8 feet wider than the normal garage.
Right.
So there would be room for storage.
Yeah, there would be. I also do construction by trade, so I'd be tools, ladders, all sorts of different things in the building that obviously just would like to not keep outside, and also the neighbors would like me to not keep outside as well.
I don't understand, this plan I'm looking at also says that it's 7 feet at both corners.
Yes.
But you just presented that it's not going to be 7
Yeah, that was a miscommunication between me and the guy who did the certified plot plan. He plotted it 7 feet because I said I'm looking for a 7-foot variance, but kind of staked it out and wanted him to locate the stakes I did, but he didn't do that. So the uphill side corner will be 10 feet off the line, so it's only going to be the downhill side that will be 7 feet.
What happens if you move that size block toward the lake 3 or 4 feet and then forward?
So since the property line angles in towards the house, it actually brings the garage.
No, but now you've got all this non-gravel driveway area in here that you could move it forward more.
I guess the concern we have was driving and kind of swinging in. So we'd have to just take away some of the front yard area, which is not
We
a.
have to look at how far it is off the lake to not
Yeah,
get
and make
into
sure we have the
buffer, and
setback.
there's
Yeah.
also a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah, that
trees
was-
There's 233 feet.
right until the other side of the property.
There's
so I'm
another
sure-
piece of wetlands over here off to the side
Yeah.
that we have to stay away from as well. So it's not just the lake. There's actually a little pond back over here that isn't located that I think we're about 106 feet from. So that would be another issue as far as moving it further down the hill.
And how many of the big pines would have to come down for this garage?
4. 1 big, 3 not so big.
If you reduced the size of the garage to the 26, how many pines would have to come down?
Well, really, a garage going in that area the pines are so big and there's so many dead limbs that I would probably still want to take them down anyways.
Okay. I want to also read something else into the record that I think is applicable, and we should just talk about it. What is going to be the finished size of your garage?
28 by 30,
2 stories?
yes.
Somebody do that math.
The upstairs will be,
Plus, that's the foundation,
that's the foundation size.
plus overhang.
That does not include the overhang, that's the foundation size.
And what does this say?
918.
918.
And I think in the overhang would be 10 inches, so we'd have to shift it forward to keep, if we were granted 7 feet, we'd just have to move
But
forward.
then
Yeah, we
it's
were
just the
gonna
lot
include the
coverage.
overhang, make
it's
sure
not
the
the
foundation was,
square footage.
the
Yeah.
overhang was the
So they're
7 feet.
within, they're allowed.
This says they're not.
There's
Oh.
no
comment-
percent
you
of
comment.
the gross floor area of the house.
Okay, so this is an interesting comment from the building inspector. Applicant seeks a variance from section 17331 intensity of use schedule and 17310B2 nonconforming uses and structures. The existing lot is pre-existing nonconforming for lot size. The existing dwelling meets current zoning setbacks. Pursuant to 17310B2, the proposed garage will create a new nonconformity, so that requires a variance for the reduced side setback. In reviewing the plan, it appears that the structure will also require a variance from 17353 because it exceeds 30% of the floor area. 3063 is the floor area, so 918.9 square feet is allowed. This wasn't caught by the office when the petition was submitted. The additional variance request will require a public hearing notice and a butter notification for the next meeting. I've discussed this with the applicant. Now, upon seeing that, I went to the bylaw, and I felt that if the abutter opposition was not significant or even present, that 17353 has an either-or part of it. It says customary accessory uses are permitted as specified in another section, but uses shall not be considered accessory if they occupy more than 30% of the floor area and more than 50% of the land area of any, or more than 50% of the land area of any lot. I think the or in that sentence permits us to read this as or. This structure does not occupy more than 50% of the land area, and therefore I think that satisfies 17353. But another way that we could get here is that only says the use cannot be considered accessory. That means the use might have to be considered a principal use. And a principal use under our bylaw today as a home occupation is allowed. So I think there's 2 ways we can apply this bylaw and not make the applicant have to republish and come back. The third thing is that our notices always say special permit / variance. So I believe abutters are fairly on notice that this is going to be a hearing for a large garage structure, and it might be decided as a variance or as a special permit. So I'm willing to allow the abutters to, the applicant to amend to include 17353 if the board thinks it's applicable, and if I have no abutter opposition to doing that.
Can I ask a question? Can you back up a little bit and explain something to me? The foundation size that he's requesting is 30 by 28. If you multiply 30 by 28, you get 840. 840 is less than the 918.
That's one story.
That's one
One
story,
story.
You have to count both stories?
Yeah.
So can we make this predicated upon the fact that it cannot be an accessory dwelling, that it can only be office space or primary
It's-
use space?
Pardon me, it's not an accessory dwelling that they're reaching for, it's an accessory use that the bylaw is speaking to. The accessory use is the home occupation use or the garage use. So the bylaw, to me, has always been a little bit confusing because this, as a garage, it's not an accessory use. And they're saying in the bylaw that if he exceeds 30% of the floor area of his house, it's not considered an accessory use. Well, they're not asking for an accessory use. Then it's not like the home occupation that we decided down in the Green Needles area that needed to actually be a commercial use in a separate building. This is a garage for their own personal use. So I'm not troubled by this section of the bylaw. If you want to correct me or say something differently, I'll listen to it, but I'm not troubled by it.
However, if it's not considered an accessory structure, then different setbacks would apply.
Well, let's look at accessory use under 17326, because it's not an accessory structure that we govern, it's accessory use.
Okay.
And accessory use comes under it's accessory business uses. At this point in time, we are not calling home contractors accessory businesses. There's bylaws proposed to change that, but right now we're not doing that. So this is really a garage for his personal use, other customary accessory uses. You go ahead.
Also, too, I really am trying to focus on not having any construction or work things and at the house at all besides my truck and any expensive tools that need to, I rent a small area that I park outdoor things, so it'd just be for small things that I need to keep inside, but it's not, I wouldn't be bringing equipment or anything like that.
Are you planning the upstairs to be finished space?
We would
or
like
just
to
storage?
eventually finish as a playroom and, or something like that.
Man
Storage
cave.
For now,
Yeah.
That's what I said, I was like,
storage really for now, until maybe down the road we would finish it, but we were building it for, the back's gonna be shed dormered, so the ultimate goal would be to, finish it and have it usable space.
Then how does that play into the 30% with the possibility of finished upstairs?
It's still their garage.
It's still, okay.
It's still their garage as far as I'm concerned. I'm also
It's more than a
satisfied.
garage, though. It's not just a garage when you put
Well, we
that
don't have-
much finished space up there and you're putting dormers on it and talking about finishing it. That makes it not just a garage. So that really,
So we don't
creates a
have an
headache.
attic in our house now, we're really, our basement, which is completely chock full, so we don't have a lot of room for storage. So that was, the dormers create more room for storage as well and things like that, so.
The other thing is, I still think the 50% of the lot area is satisfactory. I think that bylaw was either or, because it was intended to avoid that garages would start overpowering the lots. That's my belief. And we've had it come up several times in the past.
well, that's when we were talking about very small lots, which is why people would normally
Right.
be here for a variance because of a very small lot. But they have a nice big lot and they could
Right.
easily put this garage. I mean, so he has to swing a little wider or widen his driveway the other direction a little bit.
I think that's my concern. Legally, a variance is granted if there are aspects of the property that preclude any other solution, and we can't justify that. And we're talking about 3 feet.
And if we make this more than a garage, then we're talking 30 feet kind of thing. And so I think you need to make it, we need to consider this just a garage. And I think you need to reconsider about your driveway, that you could certainly pull a little bit this way or shift it a little that way so that we're not here struggling with coming up with reasons to give you that 3 feet.
Okay.
Let me say,
the main reason why we are over so far is not just because it's the swing, it's our neighbor Scott behind us, who thoroughly enjoys the fact that he can see the lake now, and will not be very happy if we put something
it's-
right there. So
and it's
where the trees are blocking that spot right now, it really would be well hidden. And
Pulling the
moving it
corner-
out 3 feet is gonna,
Pulling the-
that's his living room. That would be his living room
You're
too.
pulling your corner up 3 feet, and if you're, shut up.
can I ask you, Jillian, and then I want to switch gears to any butters.
I mean, I see what they're saying as far as their house is right in the middle and their neighbor that's sitting behind, his shots to the view are down to the right and down to the left. And you're saying his left view is his living room that he currently sits in.
Yep.
And so moving it 3 feet,
The woods line here actually
I
doesn't
get
allow
it, I
him to
get
see
like
anything
setting that back into
down
there.
this-
Can you
Right.
notch it? Can you, where you're parking you have an oversized width, can you have one 8-foot section 20 4 feet deep, or, so that you can move, you can keep the front. That's the other thing, there's so many things you can do. You can make it 27 feet, you can make it 26 feet. You could do various things to just, you're asking us, there's nothing we can hang our hat on legally. This would be, if someone challenged this or appealed it, it would not hold up.
Well, it is possible, because he's at 30 feet right here, and then there's an issue on this side, as far as, I get what you're saying, spreading it out, but there's a
No, we can
wetlands
just go
here.
like that.
That creates a lot of extra cost in our framing.
Does it?
Yeah.
I'm an architect.
Yeah.
I don't buy that.
Well, I mean.
So I can just say this about that. I wouldn't do that. I just
Well, that's
wouldn't.
fine.
So I'd
That's
just pull
fine,
the whole
but
thing
you
and block.
understand-
And I do care about the neighbor's view, so I wouldn't create an awkward
We're
shaped
talking
garage.
about this much.
So I'm not sure if you walked up into his yard and looked down. The
I saw
actual, the
his-
tree line here doesn't actually allow him to see down the right side. So that leaves, this small area here, there's large trees down this side here.
Shall
So-
we do a Google Earth?
I'd like
can we
to,
get a
yeah, I'd like
plan
to
view?
Google
make a
Earth that.
suggestion, though. Do I have any abutters in the room?
Yeah.
Yes. Are you the neighbor we're talking about?
No,
On the other side.
Where are you?
we're on 11 Chipmunk Lane.
They're right.
Can you identify your names, please?
Yeah, Robert Peterson, 11 Chipmunk Lane.
Thank
Can
you.
you swing in a little bit more?
So you're to the right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is
And-
up a little bit, Sean. So that's Bob's house right there. That's Mark and Molly. So one to the left.
Go to the left.
That's Bob's right there.
Where's
Where are
yours?
you?
Or that one where Sherry's pen is.
No,
Can you go, can you raise up the whole thing up there?
So we can see the house that's here.
Yeah.
So it's his house.
this one
Yeah.
wants the view.
Oh, I thought it was this
No,
one.
No,
you're right,
that's
that
not-
way.
Is it that one?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't see how pulling your driveway a few feet forward is going to disrupt his view.
Well, the driveway, it's the garage that would
Yeah, it's the
disrupt
garage.
his view.
He's got-
The garage.
Yeah, his view is right down,
Yeah.
it's really right down like that.
Yeah.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
that's
I mean,
what
the
he's
top of
gonna
the
be
trees are
missing.
a little bit bushier than the pulled out part, obviously, because they're pine, so.
So, one suggestion I might have is, if we kick this back a month and enabled you to get your neighbor either to come in here and passionately plead with us for this reason. And one of the reasons, I don't like it either, honestly. I think you have enough land to find another place to put a two-story garage. However, this whole neighborhood is tight, and there really is no frontage on these lots. It really developed up as sort of a woodsy compound kind of an area. So everybody who comes here from this neighborhood has similar problems. And I really would give a lot of weight to a neighbor who says, that's my only view of the lake, I don't want to lose it. I think the whole board would. But I
What if we
can't,
could get him to write a letter? He runs a.
Yeah, he runs up a art gallery up in Maine and in the summer.
Even,
he
even
spends-
then, I'm telling you, I have trouble with it, because it's not, to see the need for a 30 by 28 garage, I mean, is just, it's much bigger than we make people reduce the size of their garages all the time.
Yeah,
We take, people who want a one-car garage that's 14 feet tall, we make them go down to 12 feet to fit in. And this is a huge garage, even with huge vehicles and your profession, that shouldn't weigh that much in us going over our town's bylaws. They exist for a reason. We're only supposed to give variances when we have to and the need is real.
Okay. So the other option that we were gonna
Do you disagree
weigh
with
if we weren't to do this, there's no actual, it's just property lines abutting. So we'd have to shift the garage up closer, requiring to take down actually 4 additional trees up this way to keep it back and keep the 10 feet off further up this way, which is something I'm not opposed to, but that would eliminate this tree line that is on this side of the property almost completely. So that's another option, and I'm not opposed to doing that myself. I'm not. But it would eliminate more trees and bring it up closer to this way. So instead of all the neighbors seeing trees when he pulls down in and she pulls down in, they'd see the side of our structure. So I would like to keep that woods line, but it's an option that I'm not opposed to doing if need be.
Well, then you're
You
asking
won't-
for another
You won't
variance.
consider just moving it forward 3 feet?
Or we
Because
just
if
need
you
by
move
2
it,
feet.
if you move it up, you're constraining the view from your neighbor also. So it's
No,
either or.
we wouldn't be. We'd actually, because the property line angles up from the lake, we'd be pulling it back actually to the left further.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yes.
Behind the garage, where is your neighbor's structure?
It's far enough back to where I didn't feel necessary to pull a tape.
It's like,
60 or
I
70.
mean, this is,
put the Google map
Right,
back up.
oh, so this is actually a good way, because if you see those bushes hanging to their left, right, so,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so here it is, right? And so basically, right now, from what I understand, you're proposing it wedged in here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And what they're saying is they want you to come out a little bit more.
No, we
So-
want them, no, they're talking about, they want to maintain all of that right there and not start it till it's way back in there.
That
Way
gravel
back.
drive on there.
You had
is
stakes up,
misleading.
which was.
This, you
Yeah.
can see the
Yeah.
See,
stakes.
the stake is where we were, where we want it to be, not where it was proposed.
So
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 those
we're saying that,
Yeah.
could you move this stake literally to there? And then you wouldn't even need us. You wouldn't need to come here again.
Yep.
Except for the area variance, the area variance.
I do like the tail.
Yeah, no, that's, we,
Actually,
honestly,
I could
we came
finish
here
my-
just in thoughts of our neighbors up
Oh,
the hill,
sorry.
and
We interrupted
if we
Mark.
can't have
that's
that.
okay, I'm starting to get used to it. No, it's literally, almost every time I ask a question, I get interrupted, I never get a chance to finish what I'd like to talk about. On this case and the last case, and I think maybe from the board's point of view, the building department point of view, the plot plan should include, especially when we're looking at decreasing setbacks, let's see where the neighbors are. Like I said, to me, the last one, it was a case with, that's what I was concerned with. Here, I don't have any heartburn with where you want to put it because there's nobody there.
There is, no. Can you
Well,
go
yeah,
back
like
to the
60
Google?
feet away. Yeah, let me finish. Thank you. Yeah, there is, but it's not like there's a safety issue or something like that. So I have a lot more understanding of putting it, of this situation than the previous one. Anyway, I guess going forward, Michelle, if you could ask people who are looking for new setbacks, let's see where the neighbors are, so we've got something to look at, as opposed to, well, I think it's here, or I think it's there, or I didn't measure it.
You can't
But
even.
like I
you
said,
can't
I
even
don't
see the
have a
neighbor's house
big
through
problem
this.
with what you're presenting. Yes, it's within the 10 feet, but there's nobody for,
But how
Shelley, can you go back
justify
to
it
Google?
legally as a variance when, it's site and topography and all this? There's no constraint for them placing it within the setback.
well, I'm taking him at his word that it makes it, well, two things. One, it makes it safer and easier for him to get in and out of. I
But
mean, we know
but-
trucks are used these days.
Yeah, but.
They're no
just
longer
do
the
that,
little Ranger
you know,
that's
it's-
16 feet long.
It's.
So I guess we're here more aesthetically for ourselves, absolutely, but for our neighbor up the hill. So if you were to say, no, we can't have the off setback, we would still build the same size structure.
Sure.
We'd just drag it out into our neighbor's view. So we're here for ourselves, absolutely, but also, for our neighbor up the hill who has a beautiful view of wooded trees. Yeah, so, I mean, I can say this about that. If you said we couldn't do that, I would pull the garage forward 3 feet, like you said, and build the same size structure. So we are asking for the variance. Yes, it would make it easier to pull into the garage and things like that, but I can agree with you to say it's more of a hardship for our neighbor, which I guess that's why we're here, is for
Sure.
the abutters, so.
Can I pull the board for a minute? You first.
I don't have a problem with it based on the reasons, again, the two reasons. There's nobody back there and, well, actually 3 reasons. There's nobody back there, you need it for the turnaround space, and the third reason is to help the neighbor up the street.
Cheryl?
I have a big problem with it because I don't see the need for it. I think it's easy to pull the corner, even just the one corner 3 foot forward. I can't imagine that would impact the neighbor's view that much. And I think that this house, having driven down this driveway also, is absolutely going to be impacted by a 2-car garage right there, because this house is right here. I think that
Okay.
we shouldn't give that kind of variance without.
Jeff?
And I think he can reduce the size of his garage, too.
Okay, Jeff?
So there are 2 issues. One is the placement of the garage and one is the size of the garage. And all I can say is I wouldn't want to write the decision on either one of those because I couldn't in good conscience promote a hardship for the siting and I don't understand what you were talking about, Sherry, and you can talk to us more carefully about that.
No, because our house is a modest size, we're not allowed to have a bigger garage, because there's houses in towns that are huge with
Sure.
humongous
No,
barns, and I myself feel like that's
I
just a
realize that.
completely ridiculous
When
thing.
we've come across this with the recent accessory apartment
I mean,
bylaws. so-
what we could do is make our
Well,
house
that's-
bigger and then
Yeah.
build a bigger
Well,
garage.
we could
I'll
do
do
But
that.
I think, no, I think Sherry
With the
is
50%
promoting
then,
a
yeah.
way of thinking about it, which is to
Yeah.
your benefit.
I don't want to give you a hard time on that.
I'd like to hear what the neighbors have to say.
So you have a couple of choices here. I'm running a backlog now of the rest of my applicants, and I don't want the board to make a hasty decision. One option is to come back next month with a letter from your neighbor. I have at least 3 members who feel that they might be influenced by some proof that the neighbor would prefer to cite it here. At least 3 members. I'm not sure about the 4th. And I know about the 5th. So that's one option. Another option is in that month, maybe you could do a little sharpening of your pencil to see if you could find a compromise between the 7-foot variance and maybe something slightly smaller. Maybe shave a foot off the garage and pull the corner a foot forward, and maybe that still satisfies the neighbor, and you're coming back, you're asking for 9 feet instead of 7 feet. And I think that would make sense. Or I will just continue your hearing till the end of the night. Let me take everybody else, and we can hash this out and arm wrestle over it late into the night.
I guess my question is, so the size, did we find out do we need a variance for the size of the structure?
I thought we were within it in the first place.
Because, I mean,
Oh,
like I had
size?
said, I'll pull the garage forward 3 feet and build it just the same,
That'd be great.
you know, and block the neighbor's view, and it won't affect your
You're not
view
blocking
or
it.
mine, so.
You're affecting it possibly, but you're not blocking it with 3 feet.
That,
Yeah, like I said, it won't affect your view or mine, so. But,
it's up to you.
but the size, I guess, is my question. Do we need a variance for it?
I don't have a problem saying they need a variance. I don't think they need to reapply. I think we can vote that variance at this meeting relative to size. And if you want us to go forward and vote on the size and not the placement yet, continue the hearing on the placement another month to decide if you want to come back, or,
Well, we can settle on the placement now and move the garage forward 3 feet. To me, that's,
I don't want
to.
to,
I just
I
don't
want-
want to do it to him.
what's that?
well, we don't want to, yeah, you say we don't want to do it to our neighbor,
Let
but
me just
also
say,
Winters.
let me just say this to you. Can I pull the board on size? Does anyone have a problem with the size of the garage? Especially if it was not a variance to sideline. Do you have a problem with the size, 2-story garage?
No.
Okay.
I'm okay with the size of the garage, I'm just
All
not
right,
okay
let's
with
vote
the-
that variance.
The sideline.
Can I have a motion for the variance for the size, please?
I move that we grant a variance to.
Oh, we didn't close the hearing, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Do we want to talk
do
to
we
the
have
neighbors? I thought there were some here.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, Robert Peterson, at 11 Chipmunk. Yeah, we actually have no opposition. We're kind of looking forward to them having a garage to putting the trucks and things in. So we've seen the plans, and we think it's pretty nice looking, actually.
Okay.
And I do appreciate what they're saying about their neighbor. It is nice to view the lake.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm correcting myself, I don't want to close the hearing, I just want to vote the one variance for the size, and I'm sorry I interrupted you, you started it.
Oh, I move that we grant a variance for, from section 17353 to exceed the floor area allowed according to, and we don't have plans, so we're just allowing a
Two-story,
two-story.
yeah.
Plans, but they couldn't figure out what your second floor square footage was based on that plan.
It's, so the back shed dormer, so the back would be,
But the front is.
the front is angled with
Which will
2
help
small
your-
4-foot
Which will
dormers.
help your neighbor's view. Can we refer to the plans, and even though we don't
Yeah.
have them here? According to the plans filed with the building department. That's it.
Okay, can I have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Second thing I'm going to recommend that you do is let us continue the second half of this, the other question, either till the end of the night when the room isn't so full, or,
He said he was okay with withdrawing it.
I don't want
Well,
them-
I still
they're
do
not-
have, I would,
I like
I
January.
myself
I
am
don't
fine
know.
with it because it doesn't affect my view. Mine,
Continue
I
to,
do care.
continue to the end of the night or next month, your choice.
Oh,
One of you needs to go home for the baby. What?
Yeah. we
yeah,
can-
Melissa can go home to the baby and.
You're going to wait till the end of the night?
Yeah.
Thank you, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to just take a motion to continue that hearing till the end of the night.
Second.
So moved. You move it.
Assuming.
And somebody second.
I'll second.
All right, I'm going to call the next case. 6 Neshoba Trail. The applicant submitted a building permit application for replacement of the landing and front stairs at 6 Neshoba Trail. The lots are pre-existing non-conforming for lot size, 9788 square feet, and frontage 75 feet. Oh, I'm reading the wrong thing, sorry. Calling case number 903A, the petitioner James Bassnett requests a special permit or a variance pursuant to section 17310B, non-conforming uses and structures, and section 17331, intensity of use schedule for a proposed landing and stairs, creating a reduced front setback at 6 Neshoba Trail. Present, please. Good evening. Good evening.
There's an existing 4x5 landing with stairs off of it now, which, according to the existing regulations, is non-conforming. So, to me, we have an existing non-conformity, but I was a little confused when I submitted as to which it is. The
Everyone is,
proposed,
okay.
what's that?
Everyone gets that way, it's all right.
Yeah, I've been at this a long time, and I just have done this so
We
many.
get confused still,
You
it's
know, it's
okay.
almost like a handicap that I've done this so many times, because there's always a special permit in years past.
That's not
Why it's a variance, I don't understand.
the courts.
Anyhow, the homeowner who's sitting next to me would like to have a nicer looking, kind of porchy, covered porch, for two reasons, for aesthetics, and also because there's issues with moisture that, from backsplash, because the roof water drops on the landing and splashes up against the door, and doors have a hard time holding that water from getting into the house, so she gets a little moisture in the wet room. So what I did as a designer is figured the easiest thing would be to keep it at the 4 feet so that we're not increasing the non-conforming nature that's already there, other than the fact that rather than 5 feet, we'd like to widen it to 12 feet
And put a roof over it,
and put a roof over it. But
which
the-
does increase your nonconformity.
Well, the overhang of the roof.
No, we've always held in this board that by going up, you increase a nonconformity. So even though you're not coming out any further, you are increasing the nonconformity because there's more bulk there.
Yeah, the same way as
But
width, yeah.
I didn't mean to
Width,
interrupt.
yeah,
I
yeah,
apologize
width.
if you're done.
Yes, no, that's the way
You all
it's
set?
always been, yeah.
I trespassed on your property too.
Oh, good.
I see no reason, what you've done is, thank you, and this is a very nice outline and very nice presentation and very nice,
Want to-
easy to read.
to congratulate people who actually show us what they're gonna build. so
And,
that's
and,
good.
and very easy to follow, and I think, and for my part, it makes sense what you're doing, and and it looks like it's very in fitting with the neighborhood, that is also non-conforming in the front, most of them, and it makes perfect sense to me.
Mark?
Yeah, again, what I'd like to see, I really don't have a problem with it, but whenever, one of the reasons we've given in the past for allowing this is, gee, it's no closer to the street than the neighbors. So it'd be kind of nice to see how the neighbors are. Are they closer to the street than what you're doing? In that case, it's a slam
I
dunk.
actually have-
If it's a lot further back, then it's like, well, you know.
As part of the submittal, there is actually a plot plan of the house across the street.
Well, it would be side to side. We just try to,
So, Mark, just for clarification, and the board, This is a special permit, and Jen, this is a special permit, and the building inspector has opined that because it is change, extension, or alteration of a pre-existing non-conforming structure, it is a special permit, but the reference you make to the lots either side is actually a particular section of the zoning bylaw, and had the lots either side been similar, or the average of the lots either side been the same, then the building, then it wouldn't be here, because they can do it as of right. And I just want to bring your attention to it so that you know where that comes from when we discuss it. And it is on the intensity of use schedule at the end of the book, and it's on number 9 in the footnotes, Mark. So
Okay, what page is that?
it's the intensity use, which is the last section, the last page of the book. And it's just for enlightenment, because we do reference it a lot, and I reference
okay.
it a lot. And in neighborhoods like this, I sometimes rely on it when it's not, the average isn't working, but it's similar in many of the houses in the neighborhood. I rely on that. And this house, I think, is in keeping with the rest of the neighborhood in that it might not be the adjacent
I
lot, but
drove
it's
by and
ours.
it's, the other houses are similarly placed on the lots, and I don't know what the exact
We did the
dimensions are.
calculation and it didn't.
You did the
No,
calculation.
I know, but they're
yeah.
not,
It's not by right.
they're not
It's
way
not
back.
Significant,
Yeah.
yeah.
I-
That's significant.
No,
Yeah.
no, this
Fall in
is,
that
this,
he
this,
I did it, I did it.
this fits in.
I wouldn't be here.
If it fit.
I already did it.
Jillian, how about you?
I think it looks lovely, and I think having a one-car garage, you're gonna use that front door as your main entrance, so it makes sense having a cover over there.
Do we have any butters? I won't forget you this time. Any butters to this lot? This is 6 Neshoba Trail. Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I move to close the hearing.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I'll take a motion or a discussion.
Should I just make a motion?
Sure.
Make a motion to grant the special permit for the addition of the porch as shown on Plan 9529 dated 4/15/94.
Yeah, what I did is an overlay of an existing
Oh, I see.
certified
Okay.
foundation.
So as shown, as drawn onto this plan,
I want to reference the overlay.
okay, I don't know how to reference the overlay.
Hang on, maybe I can help you.
I appreciate that. Is that all right that he helps me?
Sure. Heck, you can write the decision. Help me.
Yeah,
I think you can say as presented.
As presented on the plan,
Presented in red.
Yeah.
I
9529.
did red on purpose.
Yeah. And as presented in the application. Anyone want a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
And again,
opposed?
nice presentation. Easy to follow, easy to read,
Save time.
saves time, makes us understand what we're looking at.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Have a good night. You too. Okay, it's 8:20. I'm calling this 750 case number 904A, the petitioner Laurie Riley and James McLaughlin requesting a special permit or variance pursuant to Section 17310B, nonconforming uses and structures, and Section 17331, intensity of use schedule, for a proposed dwelling with a reduced front setback at 67 Mill Road.
Good
I
evening.
think I need to recuse myself from this one. Jane came to my office and asked me to come opine a value and a method of settling her father's property. I actually sent her to Mr. Doucette, and I think I need to.
Details. You have a conflict.
I'm not-
Good evening.
I'm
For the
not-
record,
not
I am,
monitoring.
my name is Ted Doucette, and this is Jim McLaughlin with me, and he's one of the applicants, and also with us is Jane Simmons, who is the owner. So we have a pre-existing non-conforming lot here. It is non-conforming due to the setback that is currently at 25.7 feet, and as we know, the residential setback is 30 feet.
Ted, I don't mean to interrupt you, I just want to make a comment now. We're down to a 4-member board. This is a request for a variance, most likely. You're going to need 4 out of 4 votes. I have offered to everyone else in the room, we usually have a fuller board than this. You can postpone and come back next month, or you can wait, present tonight, see how the board is feeling, I'll poll them. And if you think you have 4 out of 4, we can go forward, and if you don't think you do, I'll allow you to continue to the next hearing when we have more members.
Right, I want to present because I just want to know what the board thinks.
Thank you.
We're not asking for anything specific on this one. What happens on this lot, and Shelley, if you could bring up the certified plot plan. We're right on the pond, and we have a setback of no touch from the conservation, which is 50 feet. And you combine that with the setback of 30 feet, and there's absolutely no room to build on this property. You know, somebody once asked me if I would be interested in being on this board, and I said, well, no, because, you know, it's difficult to approve things. They said, why? Because there's no hardships. And I said, well, there's not a lot of hardships. And I think this is one of the first lots I've come across that there really is a hardship, which is due to the size and shape of the lot. And the shape of the lot can be, I define as, the lot is now much smaller than it was as defined by the river there. Since this was dammed, the Mill River was dammed and turned into Mill Pond, they've lost a significant amount of land. If you look at this property, and when I talk about hardship, we're talking about the lot size is about 26,560 square feet. The lake takes up about, or the pond takes up about 14,000 that, leaving about 12,500 upland. 9,300 of that is within the 50-foot the Conservation Commission says we cannot touch. So that leaves about 3,200 square feet of upland touchable land, which is all within the 30-foot setback. So what the owners would like to do is they'd like to put in a 2-bedroom house. We have Title V soil testing, and we have a preliminary design that shows that it can fit. And we propose to the Conservation Commission informally to put in a 2-bedroom house with a garage underneath, and it's similar to the existing size, except you can see those irregularities. Those are squared off to make just a house with a better floor plan. And Shelley, if you could bring up one, I forget what I called it, but I think it said Concom.
Your pictures?
No, that one there. That concept. So that's what we propose to Conservation. That shows 20 feet off of the front lot line, and they asked if we could try to get 10 from you off the lot line. When I think about that, if you think how close 10 feet really is, that's less than a free throw in basketball, right? So that's pretty close to me. If there is a street for it, I guess it would be this one, because it's not a very busy street. It is a dead end, so there's not a lot of traffic down there. There's not going to be a lot of speeding cars going by. You know, so that's what Conservation wanted to ask for. We asked for 20. We didn't ask for anything specific from you because we wanted to leave it open-ended for discussion.
How does the deck fit in with the
Setbacks.
setbacks? I mean, does that include, I mean, are you, if the deck wasn't there, could you move the house back, or what is the?
No, we have no problem with your rear yard setbacks. We just have front yard
Well, I
setback
mean, but
issues.
the rear yard is based on the conscom, right?
The
No,
50
it's property
feet.
line. Well, 50 feet is based on the shoreline. And it's kind of hard to see there. I don't, if.
Is that 20 feet or 10 feet?
That,
proposed?
the house is 20 feet proposed. And if you can see the 50-foot bank offset at the top left, so that is what comes across the front of the property. And I can come up and point it out. It would be better to do it in color, I suppose, but.
I see it up there.
So it comes down off the street and then cuts right across the lot in front of what would be the 30-foot setback.
So you're already well within the 50 feet?
Right, the existing structure is within the 50.
But the septic isn't, okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean, typically, they allow.
That 10 feet is so close to the road, though.
It
It's
it
so
looks
close.
as it is now.
And that road is narrow when you go down there, because it's,
Yeah.
can you pull up did you Google, did you
and is
get
it
down
10
there?
feet with the set of
No,
stairs
no.
out front?
Oh, thank you.
Or is that the foundation?
That's the foundation,
So now you're gonna put stairs off that 10 feet?
yeah.
And it's gonna be up high.
So show us the house here.
Yeah.
So it's like really narrow coming up to it.
I mean,
It's really a tough lot. It's really a tough lot, there's no question about it.
And there's no way to use the existing foundation and just go
No.
up 2 stories, it's
I've-
just,
Yeah, we've looked at it, we've had people look at it, it's block, It's cinder
Okay.
block, and it's, you know,
The
7 years
footprint
old.
of the existing foundation won't work?
Well,
Once
won't
they-
work or doesn't want to work, right? I mean, can anything work? Anything can work if we were forced into that hand. It's not conducive, it's a
with
very
Conscom.
small. Oh, yeah, it would, but that's only 850 square feet. I mean, that's a small two-bedroom house, it's a one-bedroom
Well, except
garage.
that you could
Yeah,
have a
two
second
different-
floor, you know, I mean, that's,
It is, it's in regular design. It's, you know,
once again, there's nothing to say that you can't massage the plan to fit in the, you know, or there's something more, I mean, you're, well, whatever.
How close are the houses either side? Do you have that?
no, they're not,
There's
there's not, they're not as close as this.
And the other thing I saw when I was there is this is sitting up on a bank. I mean, what happens to that? Are you gonna excavate out that high knoll there that's?
That's how.
No, that's part of where the septic system's going to go, and it's gonna allow us to have a garage under.
So you would not have any stairs off the front of the house then?
Well, it's a very
You're
good point,
cutting
Jillian,
the 10
because
feet on
it's,
the
it's a good point. We're talking 10 feet on foundation, so we're probably gonna need another 8 feet for some sort of stairs off the front.
I mean, we're looking at the house next door,
5 feet,
which is
okay.
almost in the water.
Yeah. So, you know, the house was built, you know, what, 40s, 50s, and that's when, before the dam went in, that made Mill Pond, and that's before the 50-foot setback, and I'm not getting any cooperation from conservation.
Well, 50 feet with 2 years ago, they put that in, right?
Yeah,
That's new.
yeah.
What's the possibility that if we gave you, just for instance, a 15-foot offset, that they would compromise and give you the other? Do you know? Do you have any?
I don't, there's one member who feels that they're setting precedents by doing that, and I argue with them, there's one board that sets precedents in town, and that's you guys. Every other case has to be set.
But this isn't an argument for us.
No, I'm just saying, this is my argument. They were all worried about saying precedents. You're not setting precedents. You can just give, you can give it and take it on a case-by-case basis. But my point is that he's adamant about, not allowing us an inch.
But sure, even at 15 feet, that's still foundation, they still have to do the stairs off of it. You're still only 4 feet from the property line. And I feel like the property line's pretty close to the road.
I don't know what other choices they really are,
Well, they could build within the existing footprint.
which is probably in, the existing
I know,
footprint
but
is
the
in the
con-
50-foot
but-
buffer,
but-
right?
Can you believe it?
Right,
Yes.
but
So
they
we're
can't.
proposing to take it out of have less impervious area within the buffer zone with that footing right there, but they're not going for it.
So the question is, they can't build on an existing block foundation. That
Well, but they
would be
could replace
crazy.
it with
No,
a
the
footprint.
Concom won't let
No,
them.
once you
That's
take
the
it down.
construction. Once you
Yeah.
take it down, Concom won't let them.
They might-
That's the
I mean,
problem.
do you even have to
with
leave a
this.
wall?
No, I think
You
that's
can go
been
down to
deemed.
foundation?
Building inspector doesn't require the retention of a single wall, but Conscom
Yes.
might. Once you do that, and you probably have to
But
hand dig
there's
it.
also a matter of, you have a specific design, which is not have to be the design you build. It doesn't have to be a 30-foot deep structure or a 28-foot deep structure. It could be a 16-foot deep.
What
Is
is
that
this?
plot plan 10 feet or 20 feet?
That's
That's
showing
the
at 20 feet, right.
So
Yeah.
what are we arguing about with the 10
They
feet?
won't give him 20 feet, is what he's saying.
Conservation told us we should
Oh,
come in
oh.
and ask for 10 feet.
Okay, because that house right there is within the 50-foot, okay.
Right.
I get it.
The existing house
We
is.
do- we
And
do
it's hard,
have-
we can't slide it this, in that direction, which would be east, because you're gonna, we're losing area for septic. We can't move it west because there's 50 foot the way the pond comes up to
Yeah.
the street there.
Well, you are correct. This is the classic case of, the limitations of the site. But 10 feet, no, in my view.
Okay.
I don't know, Jeff. I just don't even understand where these people are gonna go
I
with
know that
it.
you can do something different with the plan to achieve a greater setback from the street.
What's
Jeff,
the
were you with
footprint?
20 feet, though? Where were you with
20
20?
feet, that's fine.
How about 15?
Well, not 10.
But how about 15? Where are you?
I don't have a big problem with the 10, because, they definitely had some site problems here. It's perfectly within the soil, all that. It's a narrow road, cul-de-sac,
But you have some kind of apartment complex down there when you're heading, it's a small
Yeah,
square.
it's-
It's
you look
before
at
it.
it
Nobody
ends,
goes
yeah,
down
this
this
is-
far. It's way before it.
If I remember.
What do you have, 5 houses down the end of that street?
Well, they go around the
Yeah, yeah.
driveway.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So
But there's
yeah.
3 on the other driveway.
Alan, you came in time to be a voting member on this, right? So we're back up to 5.
Okay. So, maybe we have, I don't know if you can word it so that it's 20 feet foundation, and like the point you made is that we probably need another 8 feet or so for stairs. So I don't know what you set it at. I don't know if you can set it, because I don't want you to say, okay, we'll give you 12 feet for stairs, and then have conservation say, well, put the foundation there. So we just make sure anything we do is clearly stated.
If I get anybody who wants to speak to this in the audience here. Mr. Scott. Yeah, identify yourself for the record.
Peter Scott. How far, when you talk about the stairs come out of the front of the house towards the road? Is that what this, is this an elevated first floor? I didn't see it printed.
I don't know, you're excavating, or will it be 2 floors of the lower walkout?
There's going to be a walkout and a garage under.
Yeah.
In the back.
In the side. If you go back to that Concom plan, you can see there's a driveway, there's a little gravel driveway on the side. So there's that gravel driveway, so coming into the side, and then the way it slopes up. So if you can see where the septic tank is, there's an elevation there that, was it 223 or something? That's gonna be the highest grade, and we're gonna be 1.5 feet.
So this is the area that's excavated, this end here.
It's already excavated, there's some photos
Okay.
that you can see from the street. I
It's
can,
like the porch.
So
is
where are
out
the
there.
front stairs to the house?
they'll go off,
Porch would come on the house.
there'll be a front,
It could almost be on grade because you have a big bank
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
Well, if you actually built the stairs of granite, then it wouldn't actually be a structure, right?
Okay.
If you use granite steps.
Oh, yeah, that's
So
true.
you're actually not getting any closer to the land, so to
Okay.
the street, correct?
Yeah,
You could go side to side.
And you can also go sideways and only take up 3.5 to 42 inches.
yeah,
So you're well within your steps.
That's true.
What
Okay.
you're requesting, right?
yeah,
Just
yeah,
thinking.
yeah, no. That's good, is that, yeah. Is that something you'd be interested in? Something, yeah.
Yeah, they don't need to go straight off the house. The
Or,
porch is out.
but it could be a grand, no porch, he's talking
Oh,
just a
okay,
step,
yes.
just a stairs and a step with a railing or something.
Alan, you got comments?
I do, I'm good.
Just another quick clarifying question. So if we gave you 10 feet, then you don't have to go back to Concon because you're outside of the 50?
No, we still have to file, there's still gonna be a portion inside the 50.
Oh,
They're just
okay.
trying to get us as far out of the 50 as possible.
Oh, okay, so regardless of where you are, you're within the 50?
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
It's just a matter of to what degree, and they're trying to minimize that.
Right, yeah, they're trying, yeah.
I think the whole old structure is in the 50, maybe not by much, but the newer structure, less of it will be in the 50. Even with the added square footage.
It doesn't, just graphically, it doesn't
Well-
look like you have any more within the 50 than the old structure.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and I might have played with it enough to make it just a little bit less, so we can say it's less.
And then the deck, does that include
No.
any of those numbers?
No, deck, my definition of deck is pervious, and I think we set it at 8 feet, so I'm pretty sure that can be built with cantilever. Cantilever without, no piling, no sonotubes.
Does that but that's part of the setback, no?
No, we've got rear yard
Okay.
clear.
Okay, board's pleasure, do you want to vote?
If we find the board's, maybe a quick poll of what they think for distance
Yeah.
would be,
Yeah, that's what I'm
what they would
struggling
feel
with right
comfortable
now.
with.
Jillian?
I wouldn't want to see it any closer than 15, preferably 20.
20 the way this shows here.
Mark?
I don't have a problem with 10, but I think 15 would be a good compromise.
Alan? Can I sell you 12?
No.
I
Here's
think
the
driving
prob-
down it is great. I mean, it's,
Here's the problem.
Well, we don't need,
We could vote 15, and they could leave here and go back to Conscom and still not get Conscom to agree. So then they'll be back here again if Conscom doesn't agree. But are you going to say that Conscom will be motivated
I
if we
have-
say 20?
I have no idea what conservation is doing. I mean, all we can do is go to conservation and say, look, this is what we were given. If we're given 20 feet, that's what we bring to them. And I look at that as you're giving us 10 feet, right? Because the setback's 30. I just feel that they got to get us, they have to give us something, every board has to work together. We
Well,
didn't create this
I
problem.
look at this, that there's no net change between the
I would agree with that.
You know, the existing structure
It's already
and the new
into it.
structure.
Yeah.
So what's, you know, they're not giving anything really, you know, if we allow this.
On a lot that's lost, you said a bunch of the land.
Right. I mean, I can only imagine, I mean, they dammed up Mill Pond in the 60s. I mean, if you look at the full size of this plan, I have it here, you know, how far, the property goes out 75 feet into the water, because it's supposed to be where the brook is. I mean, how do you, if that's not hardship, and,
Okay, we're ready to close the hearing? Take a motion?
Motion to close the hearing.
Second that.
Okay, do you want to vote it, or do you want to discuss it some more? Make a motion on 15?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What happens if he goes and they say no to 20? It comes back here.
It's going to come back here.
It's gonna come back here.
so,
I'm going to take a motion, and the board seems satisfied at 15, except for Jeff, so.
Do we want to ask for more, though? To kind of compromise with?
Ask for more than 15?
Since we know they're coming back?
Well, we're already compromising 20 feet.
No, I guess what I'm saying is, they have to go back to whatever number, right? So if they say no to 15 and they're back here at 10,
Well, we just may not say yes to 10.
okay.
I mean, he should get a loud message that whatever we give him is going to be it.
Okay.
I know you're close, can we interrupt, did the building commissioner say anything?
Yeah, do you want to?
Yeah, I'll read it. The applicant seeks a variance from section 17331 intensity of use schedule and section 17310B, two non-conforming uses and structures. Existing lot is pre-existing non-conforming for size and front setback. The applicant is requesting to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a new dwelling to be approximately 10 feet from the front property line. This location is requested due to the wetlands and the Conservation Commission 50-foot no-build buffer zone. Pursuant to 17310B2, the proposed dwelling will create a new nonconformity and require a variance from the board for the reduced front setback. No further comment.
Oh, he didn't give an opinion.
No.
Thank you.
So who wants to make a motion?
I make a motion, we, make sure I get this right.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Now you get to make the motion.
I will try, or I'll probably hack it. This house is for Jane, right?
Well, my family owns the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Mr. McLaughlin wants.
They're family
They're
friends who are
purchasing
gonna
it.
purchase the property.
Yeah.
It is a very nice spot.
It's a
It is, yeah.
beautiful spot.
Okay.
I mean, I would work really hard to build something there. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
nice.
So
Take
this
up a lot
house
of
is for yourself.
soundproofing because of the highway.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You enjoy it at night, I suppose.
One level living, I gotcha. Okay.
Okay, make a motion, on case 904A, 67 Mill Road. Did we determine whether special permit or variance?
Variance, that's
Variance. We allow a variance of 15 feet front setback. We're gonna say as shown, but we don't have anything that as shows that.
Well, we can say,
Is it similar to this?
yeah,
except-
approximately as
Okay.
shown as
Nope,
in the
closer than 15
conscom concept plan, provided no closer than to the front setback, 15 feet.
No closer than 15 feet.
And that includes the roof overhang, correct? Or is that
That's
foundation?
by, yeah, I think by definition, your setback is
Okay.
your setback for the whole structure.
Second?
Seconded?
And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed?
I'm gonna abstain.
And Jeff abstains.
Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
How come they're all hard tonight? They're all supposed to be easy.
Oh, we have one on the show and tell.
Yeah, okay. All right, Peter, I think you're up. 315 King Street. The applicant seeks a special permit, case number.
You gonna leave me out there?
I was.
Why, we didn't know she was doing?
Case number 905A. The petitioner, Peter Scott, requests a special permit variance pursuant to section 17310B1 non-conforming uses and structures to increase an existing non-conformity, to increase an existing non-conformity at 315 King Street. Hi.
That's the burn.
Yes. What we're talking about is the very back of the house is another that comes off it, the front of the house, the left, as you're looking at it from the street, the right side was built in 1720. It was moved down from Star Hill. They added the left 18 feet of it at the time when they moved it down in 1860, and then they built this back L off of it. The part off the back has, the second floor was used as storage, and it's going to be continued to be used as storage. I'm taking the back of it, instead of a 6 pitch, it's going to a 9 pitch. So it's going to raise the ridge about 3 to 4 feet max.
So this is the back L?
The back L of the house, it's not visible from the street. The neighbors left and right so far have been very nice to Mr. Carter. I don't know if anybody's here, the neighbors, are there?
Oh, you've got neighbors here.
Okay.
Oh, boy, they look hostile, too.
So you're leaving the front roof pitch
The
alone?
front of the house is staying exactly the same, and actually, yeah.
Because it matches the pitches on either side.
I'm matching, the pitches on the front of the building stay the same. I'm actually rebuilding the existing structure where it has been burnt. I've already started pulling the building in. Over the years, it's moved forward about 2.5 inches. The front wall has gone out, so I'm actually pulling it back in with using chains and turnbuckles and stuff like that.
Would you come to my house next?
Sure. The Historical Society's been in it. They've walked through a few times, and they're really happy about the fact that we're gonna save as much as
Can I
we
make a
can.
correction, please?
Yes, sir.
Historical Commission.
Okay.
What did I say?
Society, okay.
Oh, I usually say Hysterical Commission. I'm sorry.
All right, Kate, stay on track, it's getting
Oh,
late.
he's-
Be nice.
Great guy. So with that being said, that's all I'm really looking for, is just simply to raise the pitch in the back from the 6 to a 9, and again, it'll go up about 3 feet.
Above the roof line of the front.
Just, there's a, yes, it just made clear that by, I think maybe by 2 feet is what it might clear it
And you're
by.
doing this to increase storage ability?
Just the storage space above that area, because it's very badly damaged with the fire, that part is gonna come out. So as long as I'm taking it down, I'm trying to get a little more storage, and again.
It's a small house.
Yeah, very small.
You've been
I
very good
understand
to
that.
them in the face of their tragedy.
Thank you for
Todd and
the
I,
plot plan, we were waiting for it.
We got that earlier, and so that's all good. So it's, again, the only increase in nonconformity is 3 feet taller, give or take a few inches.
Any butters want to speak to this? Yes, please. Identify yourself for the record first.
Jonathan Leibowitz, 14 Foster Street. I'm speaking both as a butter and actually more as a member of the Historical Commission. The Historical Commission is very pleased with the fact that Mr. Carter and Mr. Scott have undertaken jointly to restore this house. It's a wonderful example of an early structure. As Mr. Scott said, it comes from different periods, some of which are quite old. It fits in very well with the neighborhood, and, you know, the easy answer would have been to tear it down, but instead they have chosen to rebuild it, and we had a meeting, we met with them, we both took a tour, as Mr. Scott said, we took a tour of the structure, and then they came to a meeting of ours. We didn't realize it would come before this board, so we didn't take a formal vote, but certainly the Historical Commission is very pleased with the work that Mr. Scott and his employer are doing for this house, and we would certainly want to support their plan. The alteration is minimal. I'm not even sure you'd see it from the street, and in any case, if it makes the building more usable and so on, we certainly support that 100%, especially when it's such a big thing to restore this house rather than do the usual thing, which would be to tear it down. So,
Thank you.
as I say, we support it very strongly.
Thank you, Mr. Lubitz. Can I just have your address for the record? You're Foster, right?
14
14
Foster is my...
Thank you. And the other butter, please?
Bruce Sullivan, 2 Foster. I'm right next to Jim. If anyone's going to see this rise, I've talked to Jim extensively about this, about what the plan is. If anyone's going to see it, it's going to be me, and we have no objections to it. In fact, my wife and I, and we'd like to see something get done and get this moving on. This happened on New Year's Day, and we're 50 feet away from looking at it every day. So for us, the sooner we can get Jim back in the house, the better.
Very nice, thank you. Okay, board, are you satisfied? You want to close the hearing? Unless do you want to say more, because you like talking?
It's late. I so move.
Only joke. Okay, hearing's closed, Jeff and Alan. And who wants to make a motion?
I move we grant a special permit at 315 King Street to raise the rear L structure from a 6-pitch to a 9-pitch.
As presented by
Yes, right.
Is that all right?
Yep.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good luck. Thank you. Okay, the last case is case number 906A. Petitioner Peter Knox requests a variance pursuant to section 17326A, use regulation schedule, principal uses and/or a special permit pursuant to section 17310B3, non-conforming uses and structures for continuation of a use as a 4-family dwelling. And I am going to announce first that I'm pleased that Alan came at the last minute, so you would have 4. I need to recuse myself because I have a financial interest in the outcome of this matter.
I have to recuse myself also.
So I will, Jeff Gates, I'll run the hearing. So
Where's my paper?
Sherry read the, what's before us. I'd like to read the building commissioner's comments, if I can find them. Hold on a second. The petitioner seeks either a special permit or variance pursuant to 17326 and 17310B3, alteration of a non-conforming use. In August 2018, the building department received a request for determination that the dwelling is a legally existing multifamily dwelling. There were no building permits on file, and we were unable to confirm that a variance had been granted by the zoning board of appeals. Therefore, the office was unable to confirm or deny the legality of the dwelling as a multifamily, letter attached. In reviewing the zoning bylaws, the following dwelling types were previously allowed. 1953, which was when our initial zoning was instituted. Single and 2-family dwellings by right and up to 4 units by variance. 1960, residential A and B zoning districts established at town meeting. Residence A allowed for duplex dwellings. Residence B allowed for up to 5 dwelling units with conditions. Residence B district map was never established. 1961, abolished allowance for 2-family dwellings. 1972, residence A and B no longer exist. What is the letter attached that's...
There's a letter from Roland right there.
I'd like to read this into the record to Mr. Kevin Baker from the building commissioner. You have requested a determination from this office regarding 17 Jennifer Street. Specifically, you seek confirmation that 17 Jennifer Street is a legally existing multi-family structure. The address is in a BC Village Common Zone. The assessor property card indicates this structure to be a 4-unit structure constructed on or about 1954. The building department files offers little to no historical information. In 1954, the Littleton bylaws allowed for single duplex and 2-family residences by right and up to 4 families by variance from the Board of Appeals. This office was unable to confirm a variance appeal of this address to the Board of Appeals. This office cannot confirm or deny the legality of 17 Jennifer Street as a multifamily dwelling. It is the recommendation of this office that you seek a special permit from the Littleton Board of Appeals pursuant to 17310B3 of the Littleton zoning bylaws, allowing the continued use of the property as a 4-family dwelling. So, we're in the situation where this building has always been there.
it's always been a four-family. It looks like it's, built substantially, I mean, it's used today substantially what it was built. And there's a historical record that's not neither here nor there, because partly, one could surmise, because when it was built, there was possibly no zoning, whatever. I think the advertisement was for a special permit or for a variance. I think the special permit is appropriate because it's the continuation of a non-conforming use. It's clear that it's non-conforming. Its existence as a four-family is confirmed by the building card. It's been a four-family for all these years. And I guess I'd like to hear what the board has to say about this situation.
Well, could they make their presentation?
Sure.
So do you mind if I call you Jeff?
Yeah, no problem.
Jeff, my name's Peter Knox, and this is Mike McNiff.
Okay.
For the record, I am really not the petitioner. The petitioner is Mike. He is the owner of the property.
Okay.
I'm here helping him out and representing him.
Okay.
Your summary was excellent. I mean, you took away most of everything I was going to say.
Okay.
It is a building that's been there for about 65 years. It's had 4 owners, according to my title search, and all 4 owners continued that use from the day it was created to the day that, up to today. I checked with the assessor's office, and they've taxed that building since 1954 as a 4-family right up to today. It's been nothing but that. There are surrounding buildings that are also 4-family buildings that were built about the same time. Mike is fully retired now and is in the process of trying to sell his property. And in order to sell it, he's in a dilemma because, in my opinion and in his opinion, it's a pre-existing non-conforming 4-family use that should be just sold without a problem. But when you get into multiple family dwellings and commercial buildings, you always run into the situation where a bank's financing is going to want a legal zoning opinion that it is legally a 4-family. And in order to do that, when I spoke with Roland, the building commissioner, he indicated, just as you said, that he would recommend that we come before you and seek the special permit under section 173-10B3 for the continued use of the property. And that's why we're here today.
Okay.
And that's why Mike is hoping that you will agree with that concept that Roland recommended and grant him the special permit.
Okay. Let's, continue with the hearing by hearing from the board.
I see no harm in that. I mean, I would grant it.
Yeah, I don't have a,
How does it affect the one that we did at the Aslinos? Because I know that they were able to sell their property even though we weren't able to give them a definitive answer.
I don't know how it affects the Aslinos, but this is a little different because it was built as a 4-family at a time that may have preceded the zoning, which might be the reason why there is no variance. We don't know. I mean, there are people who could have probably told us about it, but they're not here anymore. I think of Phil Russell, who wrote the zoning and et cetera. But, so I don't know how it, one of the previous hearings, we talked about precedent, and I think this is pretty unique because it was purpose-built. It wasn't an existing home. It was divided into 3 families. It was a structure that was built as a 4-family house. As you said, there's at least one other on the other side of the
Correct.
street. And then there's some duplexes that were built.
Duplexes, and I think the one right next to him was a 3-family for a long time.
Okay. And it's been assessed as, the Aslinos had no assessment, there was no record of it. And this is a very clear, complete record, and the only thing that's missing is the town's blessing, I guess, but it was at a time when the zoning was just being instituted. I have no problem with it either. Can I, is there any other, do we have any, it doesn't say here we have any abutters. Any other comments before we close the hearing? Does someone want a motion to close the hearing?
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Can I have a motion?
Move to award a special,
Do we want to offer to them, since there's only 4 of us and it needs to be unanimous vote?
Oh, that's a good point. So because we have 2 recusals, we have a quorum to vote. However, if there needs to be unanimous, and we always in these conditions offer an option for you to come back at a next meeting so that you could have a 5-person board or whatever. It's up to you.
you want to pull the board?
Can I ask that the board be polled?
Sure. Is there any objection to this?
I mean, I don't know if I object to it, but I think I want to abstain to it because I feel like I know that you say from 64, I mean, so it's been taxed as a 4-family. Do we have septic that takes care of that? Like, I don't know. I just, with starting with the Azalinos, and I know it's a little bit different, but I feel like there's going to be more of these that come across our board.
There are going to be more that come across.
And I want to make sure.
But once again, I think this is different than the Azalino situation where someone's taken a single-family home and put some apartments in it and may or may not have regularized it. This was built as a 4-family. You can see it has 4 doors on the outside. It has, it's never been anything but. And I think that if it was built in 1958, I would feel differently about it. But it was built concurrently with there was no zoning in Littleton, and then there was zoning in Littleton. I feel like this is a pretty unique. It's not the same as the Azalinos. It's a unique situation.
It's kind of a grandfather situation.
Okay.
I think what your concern is, and I kind of have the question in the back of my mind, is if you were to build one today, let's say we said, yes, build a 4-bedroom, there would be certain zoning regulations and building codes for I'm sorry, not a 4-bedroom, a 4-apartment unit. If that was built today, would it comply
No.
with that?
We don't have.
And I guess that's part of the discussion that we have with the other properties is like, are there egresses? Are there, you know what I mean? Like here we are, we're going to give like an approval that this is a 4-family, not knowing if it would today certify as a 4-family.
Can I say something? So egresses are not grandfathered, regardless of your determination. When we do our annual inspections, egresses are required. When we did the inspection last year with Mr. McNiff, we told him of that, and I think we said do like 1 a year or something. So that second means of egress, now that we are into inspecting all these multifamilies, is required, and it isn't grandfathered, no matter what.
And in terms of the septic.
Okay, so that makes me feel a little better that
And
there's
in terms
some
of the
kind
septic, when the property is conveyed, they have to have a.
Title V
Title
for,
V, so-
okay, based on a 4-family.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, 'cause there
So,
was no record of anything.
that being said, can we go forward with the vote?
At this point,
Well, we just did. I think we brought.
Yeah, I feel more comfortable knowing that that has to happen, and then obviously there needs to be Title V that, as a 4-family.
Okay. So, a motion? I think you were in the middle of.
Move to award a special permit pursuant to 17326 to establish that the property is a 4-unit property. And I think that's about as far as we need to actually establish. Is that correct?
Yes.
Because there's no
That's all you're
alterations, there's no
That's
other,
good.
nothing happening, so.
So any alterations would go before the building commissioner and, whatever. So, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Can we have a vote? Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Nay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hopefully your transaction can happen.
Hopefully it will.
Yeah, to me, that's a great property. And that's fine.
Have a good retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you need this?
I do. Thank you.
Yeah, I just, and I understand. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in. I know it's a last minute type thing, but,
I'm sorry?
Yeah, we do. I just wish that we had seen that record, like I wish,
Thank
you know what I mean, that they had, like, here it is in 1954. Yeah, you know what I mean, that shows.
Yes.
I can hug you now. Nice to see you.
I miss, we started at
Yes,
160.
as Nino, how they sold their property without it.
There's yeah. I gotta get down and touch them.
Because really, they don't need to sell it, but obviously our approval gives them value to the property.
That's something.
That's what these are about. And it's
Okay,
not
we're
like
going
they can't sell
to reconvene.
it. Cash, it doesn't matter, but they need it in order to prove the value of it.
You can't do anything because when you didn't have the presentation,
I
thank
just,
you.
there's something else we're doing.
We're gonna wait.
You don't come back.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know.
All right, short break.
Did you want wings?
We'll see you across those later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan, for coming.
So this meeting was done. It looks like he left his meeting to be here.
He did. He texted me right back and said, I'll be there in 10.
For that last one.
Yeah.
So that you could have 4 people, because otherwise you guys couldn't hear it.
Right.
So we voted on the previous one too, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, we need
I mean, okay, so we're back to.
we're taking a short break.
Brought up for this one, or have you guys seen that tonight?
I'll bring it back up one more time.
Do you want paper clips back?
No, I hate paper clips. That's why I give them to you. No, Janet put paper clips on. I never use paper clips. I
Actually,
use-
it's nice that all the, yeah, we like the binders, but it's nice that all the little sub-things are paper clipped together.
Can you come down on it again from
The GPS.
Well, Google Earth.
Melissa, did you go to school with my daughter?
Yeah, we
Renee?
both did.
Oh,
We were
okay.
all friends in high school.
Yeah. She was just home a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
No,
was she?
longer ago than that, actually.
I think she was, Joey was back.
Kyle went,
Yeah.
Kyle went to school with them too. He's the
Yeah.
main, the twins.
Yeah, they're talking about having some kind of reunion over Thanksgiving or
Yeah,
something.
Aaron's planning it or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stick it at Peter's house, actually.
Okay. Yeah, she may or may not make it. She's in Canada and going to school, and their Thanksgiving is different than
Oh,
ours,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, my boss actually lives in Canada, so she was talking about that. She was
Yeah.
like, I always wanted to celebrate the American one. It seems more like folly.
Yeah, theirs is our Columbus Day weekend.
Yeah.
So.
Whoa. Going for a landing.
Grow up.
So while she's bringing it back up, we'll reconvene the hearing of 13 Winged Cove Road. And I asked them to step it back till the room was a little quieter and less stressful, because sometimes you get anxious with the next applicant waiting his turn and you don't get to talk it out completely. I heard there are 2 members of the board that don't think a variance is justified. I heard from 3 members of the board that they're somewhat motivated by the respect for the view of the neighbor in this neighborhood. It's unique in the sense that the whole notion of change extensions and alterations on pre-existing nonconformities grew out of not wanting to jeopardize the view of people really on Cape Cod. And so when I get down to the lake areas and we're talking about views, I get sensitive to that too. I wanted Kyle to maybe go back over the plan one more time and show the board that there's only one corner that is going to violate. And I suggested to him in the hall that perhaps he would negotiate, bargain, and see if there's any movement by the board or by himself to see if we can't meet somewhere between us. Sure. Okay?
Does your plan have the hand sketch on there too, or no?
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
Yeah, the engineer had plotted it different than the way that we thought.
So just to confirm, what you're proposing is the one that's been rotated? So
Yes.
one corner is 10 feet and the other is
Correct.
7? Okay,
Yeah.
just to confirm that.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that the overhang is 10 feet.
Yeah, Shelley told us that already.
Right.
So it's not the box, it's the roof.
So I heard an argument that said that because of where the existing right-of-way is, if you are all familiar with the titles down on Winged Cove, these people don't really have driveways, and they don't really have front yards and backyards, and they don't really have roads. These are all shared private ways, and so he's designated this right-of-way, and it kind of, his property line goes into the right-of-way, and the right-of-way goes into his property line. But I think he's worried that he can't change the right-of-way, so he's got a certain swing he's trying to achieve. And his argument here is that to achieve that swing, this garage needs to be where it is. He's also said that to give the neighbor, to not impair the neighbor's view with the garage, it needs to be where it is. We're out in the hall saying if you moved it 3 feet forward, if you moved it 3 feet either way or the other. So propose something that would be a compromise or something you could live with.
I mean, really, any reduction of setback would improve our neighbor's view. If we could come to an agreement on anything else, it would improve the neighbor's view and help the neighbor, which in reality, that's the majority of the reason why we're asking for the variance, to keep the garage setback behind the, I don't know if those pictures show the woods line really well, but it's heavily wooded through this area,
You can see
so.
kind of in that one, so
it
like
would-
where the boat trailer is, that woods to the property line, that's what it's like.
It would keep him basically having the same view that he'd always have. So, yes, it would just be a corner, but he wouldn't see he wouldn't see any of the structure at all. And he's in Maine now, and I'm sure that if he was not in Maine working, he would be here pleading to allow us to tuck it back. But he is never home during the weeks, and I'm not sure if we would be able to get him to a meeting. But
The most we could probably get was a letter out of him or something.
So what's the board's feeling about compromising this at 8 feet or something at the one corner?
Well, I appreciate that, you're willing to think about this. I, just to go to a different issue, I really, and I'm surprised you haven't objected to the fact that we're asking to defer our judgment to someone who is not even coming to the meeting and is not even writing a letter. Because if it was important to them, that would have been different. I'd be willing I would move it, split the difference, 1.5 feet. I mean, just almost as a matter of principle, because I feel like you don't really need this variance. But I do understand that on this site, and I have been to the site, I went there today, it's possibly an improvement for your neighbors, and it's in an, at least from the road, it's an unobtrusive, location.
Did you discuss with him what you were doing? Did he see where your stakes and stuff were?
Yeah, we
Like, is
actually
he thinking
did
that this is what, and maybe he thought he didn't need to come, I don't know.
Yeah, he was under the impression that if he didn't come, he didn't.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah,
If he
yeah,
was
yeah,
objecting,
no way
he would
it's
be
the-
here. He is not.
yeah,
he's that type of guy.
he's like, can you push it back further? Obviously, he would like it even more tucked behind the tree line, which,
So, Jeff, if you're willing to live with 8.5, I know that you're already there.
Yeah.
Jillian, and
Yes.
you're already there, and Mark, you
Yeah,
said
I'm
you were
fine,
already
I
there.
agree
And
with
Cheryl,
the
can you
original.
live with 8.5, or?
No, I
Okay.
can't. I think variances of this kind should be granted in cases of hardship. And I don't see the hardship. I don't see the need for a garage this big as a hardship. I don't see the need for this to encroach even 6 inches as a hardship. I just don't see the need. I think variances, our zoning laws are what they are for reasons. We shouldn't capriciously grant variances without good cause. And I have trouble with this one. There's plenty of land, plenty of places to put it. This is a huge garage. There are many houses smaller than this garage. It just, I have problems with all of it, but I am a minority evidently.
I'm going to look for a motion to close then.
Motion to close.
Second.
Okay, and I think we've had enough discussion. I'm just going to look for a motion, please.
Motion to
we grant the variance, Chip?
Grant a variance for 13 Wing Cove as shown on the plan, no more than 8 feet, is that what we decided?
8.5.
Eight.
8.5 is
8.5.
what Chip, no closer than 8.5.
No closer than 8.5 feet. On plan
Can I-
47,
Can I just amend to say 28 by 30, two-story garage, no closer than 8.5 feet? Okay,
28 by 30, not 32.
that's what I said, two-story. Sorry, I said two-story right afterwards.
Okay.
Two-story garage.
on plan 47135 dated July 31st, 2018.
Second, please.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed. Sorry.
Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. First
Have a
thing
good
I-
night, thanks.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I envy the location of your house.
It's beautiful.
I
It
worked
is a
harder. We
beautiful
moved down to
location.
be on the water.
And no one can find it, so that's good.
That's the best part. It's like, oh, it's so suddenly, but, you know,
Yeah.
it's trying to fly.
And congratulations on the baby.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the best thing ever.
Have a good night, thank you.
You too.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Hi.
Can I ask?